Here's why you play Phoveus, the Chains of Sin, in the EXP lane. First off, he is extremely strong against mobile heroes, allowing him to punish enemies who rely on dashes and blinks, allowing him to punish enemies with his auto lock-on ultimate. He has excellent sustainability, as his passive grants him shields and healing to survive prolonged fights. Phoveus also provides high crowd control, knocking back and disabling enemies to disrupt their movements. However, Phoveus struggles against range, making him vulnerable to poke damage before he can get close. He also relies on proper timing, meaning he should not simply cast his ultimate to dive into the backline without ally support. Phoveus' passive ability, Demonic Force. Phoveus' next basic attack allows him to charge at an enemy, knocking them back and dealing extra magic damage based on their max HP. This attack also grants him a shield based on his max HP. The cooldown of this effect is reduced when an enemy hero uses a dash, blink, or displacement ability near Phoveus, making him more effective against mobile heroes. Phoveus' first skill, Demonic Impact, slams his monolith into the ground, dealing physical damage to enemies in the area and slowing them significantly for a short time. If this skill hits an enemy, it will leave behind an Astra's Eye, which explodes after a delay, dealing additional magic damage. This skill is useful for zoning, poking, and setting up further attacks. Phoveus' second skill, Dark Wave, unleashes his demonic power in the target direction, knocking enemies airborne and dragging them along while dealing magic damage. This skill is crucial for controlling fights and repositioning enemies. Phoveus' ultimate ability, Infernal Pursuit, applies Sinner's Mark to enemies but hits by his skills. When an enemy with Sinner's Mark is hit again, Phoveus leaps into the air and smashes down with his monolith, dealing physical damage based on their max HP. This skill allows him to continuously engage enemies in team fights while recovering a portion of his lost HP. The healing is reduced when hitting multiple enemies. A typical skill combo for Phoveus is to start with his enhanced basic attack to charge at an enemy while knocking them back and marking them. Immediately follow up with his ultimate to smash down on them. Use his first skill to slow the enemy and trigger an Astra's Eye, then use his second skill to knock them airborne and reposition them. If the enemy is still marked, use his ultimate again. Finally, use the enhanced first skill to mark them once more and activate his ultimate again. Moving on to builds, I usually build Warrior Boots, War Axe, Brute Force Chestplate, Blood Wings, Athena Shield, and finally Immortality. These are the emblems that go along with this build. As for battle spells, the best spells for Phoveus in my opinion are Flicker for repositioning, Execute to finish off enemies, or even Petrify to further control enemies. Phoveus excels against heroes who rely on blinks and dashes. Heroes like 1-1, Arlott, and Cho will constantly trigger his cooldown reduction, allowing him to use his passive more frequently. However, Phoveus struggles against ranged heroes and strong CC. Heroes like Aurora, Valier, and Vexana can keep him at a distance while locking him down. Phoveus works well with tanks that can initiate fights and disrupt enemies such as Katokacha, Minotaur, and Tigreal. These heroes create openings for Phoveus to maximize his damage while taking some of the incoming damage for him. You should upgrade first skill at level 1 and prioritize upgrading first skill with second skill as a backup. Most importantly, upgrade his ultimate whenever available. Phoveus is a nightmare for mobile heroes, so positioning is key. Stay near enemies that rely on dashes so you can frequently reset your cooldowns. His passive allows him to charge at enemies and knock them back, which can be used aggressively to initiate or defensively to escape. His first skill is great for poking and setting up Astra's Eye explosions, forcing enemies to reposition. The second skill is useful for disrupting enemies and setting up your ultimate. His ultimate is best used when enemies are marked, allowing you to repeatedly leap and deal massive damage while sustaining yourself. However, be mindful of ranged enemies as they can poke you down before you can even get close. Use the terrain and bushes to close the gap and surprise enemies. Always be aware of enemy dashes as they are the key to reducing your cooldowns and keeping up your pressure.